Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions on all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the roles that the institutions of mental health and education play and have played in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces every other Sunday, and we actually have one scheduled to drop this upcoming Sunday. So definitely be sure to meander over to the website and check out our online content. Now, if it is the case that you are looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available on 10 different podcast platforms for your listening leisure, and we provided you with access to the links in the description down below. Now, as is the convention, be sure to subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you are aware of every time we post. And of course, if you like these conversations and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this segment. Let's get into it. Allô les meufs et les mecs. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education. And today our topic of discussion is mental wellness. And on the topic of discussion today, we're going to be talking about how to eliminate monotony in your life. Yes. So this is a light topic, but I do think that this is a tactile, very practical topic that sometimes we lose sight of. We allow monotony to kind of take root in our lives and then wonder what took place. And so I wanted to put a video out there to address monotony, the routine and the mundane aspect that life can sometimes take on. And this video is going to be fun, it's going to be light, but these tips are actually tips that I incorporate in my life so that my life doesn't feel monotonous to me. I believe in living my life to the fullest, but that doesn't mean living at an extreme. And I think that wanting to do away with monotony doesn't mean you want to live on the edge. It doesn't mean that you want to live, in extremes, right? We want moderation in our life, and moderation and monotony aren't the same. Routine and monotony aren't the same. Having habits and rituals, also not synonymous to monotony. Monotony is when we start to feel the dull edge of boredom introduced into our daily lives, and that is something that I feel is a byproduct of a lack of effort. Yes, it comes from a lack of effort when you spend too much of your life on autopilot. And I'm not here casting judgment, I'm not here accusing you, but I'm here to kind of speak to the underlying issue of monotony. And I think that sometimes when it comes to the way we see our lives, we fail to recognize that we carry within ourselves the capacity to create the lives that we really cherish, to create lives that we enjoy, that we embrace. But that means that we take on an active role in building a healthy relationship with our life. right? And if we don't have a healthy relationship with our life, then monotony is one of the ways that that can translate. It could also translate in like having a very high stress, like frequent burnout type of life, or having a life that is devoid of passion and devoid of meaning. But all of this really stems from the relationship that we have with our life and the way that we have chosen to cultivate and to carve out our relationship with ourselves. So I guess the underlying thread to the advice that I'm going to give you today is effort. And it's really very important that we never lose sight of the fact that each day requires effort. It involves being all in. It involves living your life alive, right? Living your life aware, living your life with your eyes wide open. And that can obviously translate in a lot of different ways. And sometimes we can let routine get the best of us, especially if a lot of it is on autopilot. So I'm here to curb the autopilot, help us dial down the autopilot. And I think also like part of the tips here, an underlying theme to the tips here, is being cognizant of how much of your life you live in autopilot. Because if you're not, then one day when you do cultivate that awareness, when you are kind of brought to the present moment, you're gonna be like, what is going on with my life? It's so monotonous. And you're gonna wonder where all that time went. So we're gonna avoid all of that by like just always being cognizant and aware of where our time and energy goes. But in those off cases, like we still find that we are stuck in a rut and we're feeling that it's monotonous. Follow these 3 tips. I'm gonna share just 3 tips in this video and I'm sure it will help you. So the first of my 3 tips is seek out novelty. And I think that it's so important to recognize that the world is so much bigger than your vantage point and your perspective of it right now. So a lot of what is familiar to you is what you kind of allowed play into your day-to-day, into your routine, whether that's like a weekly, monthly, however frequently the cadence routine, and that can create monotony because we're not actively seeking out novelty. We're just kind of trailing the paths that we've always been trailing, and at times that can make us feel a little bit like a hamster in a wheel, like same old, you know, like different day, same old stuff. And I think that it's important that we seek out novelty, and I do this on a routine, and I told you I'm not a spontaneous person. So for all of you non-spontaneous people out there, like it doesn't mean that your life is monotonous. I like to plan fun. I am all about organized fun. My life is still very exciting to me, but I also like am very aware. I love to live in the present moment, and I'm always creating room for new in my life. I'm constantly seeking out novelty. I find it just so enriching for me. It's so stimulating for me to seek out avenues, venues, artists. There's so many different ways that we can seek out novelty, and it can be like a good experience or like a not so pleasant experience, and it still changes things up. And I think that that's the important aspect of seeking out novelty. And a novelty can be on a spectrum, right? It can be a vacation, it could be a new language, it could be a new series of books, a new genre of books, it could be exploring a different artist. I mean, there's so many different ways to seek out novelty, and seeking out novelty routinely, so putting it on a schedule, and it could be like a different kind of novelty on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis, however frequently you have the appetite. But seeking out novelty is one of the surefire ways to keep monotony at arm's length. Now, moving right along, my second tip for you as it relates to curbing monotony in our life is priorities. And this is just so important and something that we often forget we forget like the power and the impact of having our priorities in place. And when it comes to monotony, oftentimes that takes place when we allow other people's priorities to become our own, but they aren't actually our own. So we find that our lives are cycling through meeting the expectations of others and internalizing and diminishing our own priorities. And because our own priorities aren't met, we're not actually deriving all that much fun, excitement, and thrill in our life, because a lot of what drives priorities are things that mean something to us, things that can ignite our curiosity, things that will stimulate us in some way, shape, or form. So being clear as to what your priorities are, like before you start anything, like always know what your priorities are, always make room and space for your priorities, and set the precedent with everyone around you. Like your priorities need to become non-negotiable, and it's not selfish to have priorities for yourself, for your time, and for your life, so that you're not waking up one day being like, what is this rut that I'm in? And a lot of the times when we're in ruts is because we're not focusing on our own priorities, we're focusing on accomplishing other people's priorities, and we haven't carved out just a little bit of time for ourselves. And I think that it's so important to just keep your priorities top of mind and always carve out time to honor your priorities, to make time for your priorities, so on and so forth. And I guess that brings me to the last point, and that's you, right? You are the author of your story. And I think I've been trying to kind of just share all the different ways that you can kind of put your agency out there to create room for excitement in your life. But you need to start by first prioritizing yourself, by recognizing that who you are as a being has a certain set of needs, has a certain set of desires, thoughts, beliefs that are going to want to drive some of the way that you navigate in the world around you. And if you keep curbing that inner drive, that inner thirst to learn, to see, to explore, to have adventure, then you're gonna feel stuck in monotony because you're putting yourself in a cage. And I think sometimes we put ourselves in a box because we feel safe in that box, and we curb growth for safety. And recognize that because we're beings, we're human beings, we're organic material. If we're not growing, we're regressing, right? There's no room for safety in this world, in this life. Life is inherently risky. From the moment that you were born to this present moment, there's a lot of risk involved. So live to the extent that you feel inclined to live, and that means curbing past your fears. And I think sometimes we allow ourselves to suffer the cost of monotony, or to suffer at the cost of monotony, and suffer at the cost of living our lives on autopilot, because living the life we actually want is just something that gives us anxiety. It's something that makes us feel a little bit fearful, like how do I dare live aligned to what I truly desire in my life? Is it too counterculture? Is it too taboo? Whatever I don't know what it is. I'm not here to judge you, but I think that give yourself permission to at least try it out, to see how it feels to live in alignment with yourself, and then give yourself permission to do it more and more and more until you find that inner confidence. Just live in total alignment. And I think that monotony cannot exist when we are in alignment. It just cannot, because everything that we are doing, that we're putting our energy in our life, is to do with what we want, with what we desire, with building relationships, communities, ecosystems around the things that we want and that we desire, and just being true to ourselves. And I think there's something so beautiful about that. And in that beauty, the reward is, of course, no monotony. So super light, super quick, but I think also super important for those of you who feel like life is a bit of a rut and you're not really quite sure where to start. Start with you. Start with the introspection. Start with not filtering out the things that you want to do, and giving yourself the go-ahead to do it, right? Cultivating that courage to go and do the things that are going to disrupt your life a little bit, but they're going to give you the excitement, the thrill that you're looking for. They're going to stimulate you the way you want to be stimulated, intellectually, socially, so on and so forth, and just go for it. I guess this video is really just me, cheering you on. Go for it. In any case, that's it for today. But before letting you go, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that we will be going live at least twice a month, every month, for the foreseeable future on our Facebook page. So definitely be sure to join in. Now, these events are paid events. So if you do see yourself participating in our community on an ongoing basis, then I do suggest that you take a look at one of our package plans. Now, our package plans provide you not only unlimited access to our live events, but access to workshops and webinars, largely focus on self-mastery over and above those live events. So becoming very much engaged in our game changer community, and we're super excited. And if you're worried about the pricing, please don't be. We've just incorporated a new payment solution, Afterpay, that gives you the opportunity to pay in 4 installments over a period of 6 weeks to make our programs more accessible to you. So hopefully that is something that you take advantage of. And yeah, we are growing so quickly. We're so excited at how our community is evolving, and we're happy to co-create with you, to share tips, to hear your tips and your advice, and to continue this growth, continue this journey together. In any case, thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to chatting with all of you very soon. We'll talk to you later. I just feel like no one's listening.